I'm Allison, and this is my dog, and we live in a tiny house, and an even tinier trailer, traveling the country, taking hikes, and this time, we're finally wrapping up our 6,000-mile journey around the American West, driving almost the entire Pacific Coast Highway back home to Seattle in 3 days. We've been on the go for 9 days already, crossing Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Utah, Arizona, Nevada, and now California. The Pacific Coast Highway will gift us with a little bit of wildlife, big trees, big beaches, even bigger cities, and big weather, all while it turns our stomachs upside down. Alright, I'm up, we're awake, we're going. As soon as the car warms up, as soon as I turn around in this hotel parking lot. I'm getting really good at turning around in these tight spaces. I say that now and I'm probably gonna jackknife the trailer in this stupid parking lot. It's gonna be fine, we got plenty of room. I totally planned this when I came here in the dark last night. Oh, we're totally gonna make it. Plenty of room. We got the whole 2 feet over there of wiggle room. Good job, team. Let's find some breakfast. I'll give you one guess what I'm having for breakfast in my car again. I am wearing flip-flops and a jacket, and the jacket is too hot. It's glorious. Wearing flip-flops would have been unfathomable yesterday. Where were we yesterday? Death Valley, yeah, unfathomable. All right, where are we going today? I don't know, we're just gonna drive up 101 until we get tired. I've done parts of the Pacific Coast Highway and Highway 101 Drive about half a dozen times at least, and even more through the Oregon and Washington parts, so I decided to try out a GPS guide to see if it'd lead me to anything new I haven't seen before. I know you can't see this very well, but those aren't cows or horses out there. Those are zebras. So right on cue, just as the guide was telling me about the wild zebras that had escaped from the nearby Hearst Castle and now wander the area freely, there they were, right there, grazing in a field off the highway. Zebras. In California. I'll tell you, zebras were not on my California bingo card today. Also nearby, another special wildlife sighting, this time elephant seals, resting on the beach with a fresh batch of seal pups. And they sure were chatty.
Regulate that, but that's our case. Oh my God. If they start doing it, we'll see how
So we've seen zebras, we've seen elephant seals, a lot of cows in California. What else? What else are we gonna see? Coming up we have an iconic and familiar sight on this stretch of the highway, the construction zone. Today this crew is cleaning up the usual, a small rock slide. Highway 1 has been challenging the engineers at Caltrans since the day plans were put to paper back in the 1930s. 656 miles of coastline beneath it is constantly shifting and sliding here, with some washouts costing tens of millions of dollars to fix and cutting off coastal towns sometimes for months. Today was just a baby traffic jam, though, from a minor slide, and it didn't take more than an hour before we were hiking the cliffside in Big Sur. This part of the highway from Long Beach through Big Sur and into Monterey delights drivers with turquoise waters, some beautiful cliffside hikes, and fiery sunsets. There aren't any stops on this stretch of the trip not worth making, whether you have half a day or several days. But some of my favorites over the years include the Calla Lily Valley, McWave Falls, the Bixby Creek Bridge, Point Lobos, and just all of Monterey County. All of it. Hike all of it. And of course, this highway puts you over that big golden-colored bridge. You know, that gateway to the Valley of Silicon. That is, if you can see it that day. Contrary to popular belief about California, San Francisco is not, in fact, a sunny paradise. You should head further south for that sort of thing. No, San Francisco's fog is a meteorological phenomenon, unique to the geography of the California coastline. Its shape literally sucks cool air in off the ocean. To put it in layman's terms, it's a fog vacuum. No, seriously, just go back to Monterey County. Hike all of Monterey County. After a surprisingly good night's sleep in a beachside parking lot, I woke up with a bad case of get-there-itis, and we took off long before sunrise. We have a lot more coastline to cover, and we should see the redwoods by afternoon. Northern California is also a beautiful place, but the further north you get, the more the landscape starts to look like home to me. Today we still got amazing coastal views and beach stops, but also pastoral landscapes dotted with dairy cows, dense rainforests, and, as we move into Oregon, the occasional elk sighting. Oh, and who could forget? More road work. We also get violently ill, the dog and myself. My equilibrium hates this part of the highway through the redwoods in Northern California. I'm a little sensitive to motion, but I almost never make myself throw up from driving. But this highway has an exceptional ability to make me lose my lunch 100% of the time I've driven it. Each time I make this trip, I know that once I'm surrounded by trees like this, it's only a matter of time before I'll be pulling over. I skipped breakfast this morning in anticipation of this very event. Well, friends, I'm pretty sure today is our last day. So today we're about 8 hours from home. I don't know how many stops I'm gonna make, although we're in Coos Bay, Oregon, which is a beautiful area. I need fresh air. I've been driving a lot the last couple of days. Yesterday was a 12-hour day. Because I really wanted to get home. I'm just in the get there-itis stage of the trip. I'm in that last 20 minutes when your airplane is descending and it feels like the longest descent ever, and you just want the plane to land because you're sick of being in a metal tube cooped up with all these people. I, however, have only been in a large metal box with a dog, so maybe my patience is a little better. So it looks like we will not be taking a leisurely stroll on the beach today. Surprise, it's raining on the Oregon coast in the winter. Who'd have thought? But also the tides are really high. I'm not opposed to hiking in the rain. I live in Washington, of course I'm not opposed to hiking in the rain. But the tide is like at its highest right now. There's no beach to walk on. So we're gonna keep driving. Maybe we'll find better weather. She did not find better weather. Well, because today actually kicked off the first of several of extremely violent storms all across the Pacific Northwest, I'm just gonna have to show you some of the Oregon and Washington coast on better days, which are mostly in the late spring through the summer. Seriously, the weather today was awful. You don't even want to see it. So you might want to seek out the massive stump on the aptly named Big Stump Beach, the dangerous churn of Thor's Well near Yachats, that beach where they filmed the Goonies, although that exact spot is now closed, the Oregon sand dunes, hopefully on a less windy day than this, the King Tide season at Ocean Shores, the iconic rocks at Rialto Beach, and honestly, literally any beach where you can pull off and walk a while. You can't really go wrong up here either, as long as the tide isn't all the way up and it's not, one of the worst storms of the year. Now I got really antsy to get home. So we're going to have to save the Washington stretch of Highway 101 for another time. There's just way too much to see to cram it in at the end of what feels like, and probably is, the longest trip of my life. There's just something about seeing Seattle skyline appear over the horizon that still gives me warm, fuzzy feelings every time I see it. That feeling you get when you're finally home. And as soon as we get here, right on time, there's the snow again. Well, all said and done with all the detours and turnarounds we made, and some dead ends that we followed, my odometer says we drove about 6,200 miles these last 12 days. And I've had to explain to my mechanic once again just how I came to need another oil change so soon. We saw almost every kind of terrain, town, and truck stop the American West had to offer, and we returned home victorious in our mission to see Saguaro National Park and catch at least a few days of sunshine. Sure, Mother Nature didn't give us that many breaks, but we've had 2 weeks to make the most of what we did have, and plenty of downtime to think about where we're going next. Now, I normally like to travel alone, but even if just one of you saw any of this and decided to go somewhere new or try something new or maybe even do something that freaks you out a little bit, well, then I suppose I don't mind having passengers along. So thanks for joining me.